Hello everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome to stage 6 video of our video series of the 7 stages of money. Okay, this is the stage 6 video. If you have not checked out the previous stages, you might do yourself a favor to go back to the beginning. We briefly spoke in stage 5 and realized that stage 5 was the debasement period. Okay, and we spoke about what debasement is and different things that come about thanks to the debasement of the currency supply, and we went through some examples, right? Certainly showing that currently in America we are dealing, we're right in the middle of debasement, if not at the end of it, because our currency has been debased probably to its max starting with 1971, right? So let's move on to stage 6. So what is stage 6? Now that we know we're at a point where our currency supply is being debased. Stage 6, what happens in stage 6 is a currency crisis. Okay? Stage 6 is a currency crisis. The debasement that the government has done now brings about a currency crisis, usually thanks to a loss in faith of the currency. So we have a loss of faith in the currency. Loss of faith in, Lord have mercy, that looks bad. Loss of faith in the currency itself. Okay, a loss of faith in the currency itself. Unfortunately, this happens a little too late, because you ask yourself, why is there a loss in currency? There comes a loss of faith in the currency because thanks to the debasement in time, there is a loss of purchasing power. Okay, remember we spoke about debasement as inflation. Most of us consider it inflation, but we discussed what inflation actually is a symptom of debasement. So when we do that debasement, as we spoke of, each unit of money has less value, right? So you lose purchasing power, right? You lose purchasing power and prices rise for the common people, okay? This is what brings about this crisis. Prices begin to rise, aka inflation. What we typically call inflation is eventually, as this expanded and inflated currency and these extra units get into the market, okay, eventually prices go up and everything costs more. What used to cost $1 now costs $2. All right, is this sounding familiar at all? I think that people fail to realize that this currency crisis and this loss of faith in the currency and loss of purchasing power and prices rising for people, this has happened time and time again. This is not something that's new, not only in civilizations of the past, but in America since at the very least the early 1900s. This has happened before. As a matter of fact, the Great Depression of the 30s that we mentioned so much was brought about thanks to a loss of faith in the currency. As far back as 1929, it eventually led to bank runs, which is also something that happens in stage 6. You get bank runs. For those who don't know what bank runs means, that means people just go to the bank and say, I want my money. They begin to stop trusting the banks, and everybody wants their money. Once you learn a little bit more about our monetary system, and it's the monetary system that's used throughout the world for the most part. There's a very few nations that don't use the European banking system, okay? But people go to the bank and say, I want my money. Well, usually the money isn't there, okay? And that's just the way the system works. Banks loan out money. They don't hold the money. So this causes problems. Banks begin to shut down. You have banks shutting down when people go on bank runs. This is exactly what happened in the Great Depression as well. You had bank runs. People began to stop trusting the banking system, and they go and they say, I want my money. All right. This is all part of stage 6. Okay. So now we end up with, you know, financial crises throughout whatever nation we happen to be speaking about, right? We have crashes. I don't have much room left. Let's see. Crashes. Everybody saw that back as recent as what was it, 2008? Lehman Brothers crashed, and a few other banks, Merrill Lynch, so forth. We had a lot of banking crises. Okay, these were all due to debasement and a currency crisis. Okay, it wasn't necessarily described as such, but it was a currency crisis. Okay, and so we have these bank crashes, and then what do we get? What happens to kind of stave all of this off? Okay, is we start getting money printing. Okay, the powers that be print their way out of this trouble. Let's add more money to the currency supply. Okay, it's really a way for them to try to thwart what's happening by giving you more of the same, more debt to cure the debt that's already been accumulated, and it's overwhelming. Okay, more money printing to account for all of the money printing that's already been done. This is further expansion of the money supply, which, as we mentioned before, can only be done because it's paper. It has no intrinsic value, so we can keep printing it as long as what we use as money is just paper and ink. You understand? So this is basically stage 6. You've seen the money printing. We don't have to, everybody's heard of QE by now. QE1, we've got QE2, QE3. No one knows where to end. As we speak, early fall 2013, you know, the Federal Reserve is supposed to, you know, tone down this quantitative easing is what QE means, quantitative easing. And that just means printing more money. They come up with, listen, let me tell you, these guys are, they come up with the trickiest names and things. These are very powerful and influential government people, smart guys, Ivy League grads. So, you know, government does the same thing. They have these catchphrases like healthcare, you know, as a substitution for insurance company. You know, and it's no different with the money powers. QE1, quantitative easing. So that you don't understand what it is. When it's very simple to understand what quantitative easing is, it'd be very simple for everybody to understand if you just called it what it is. It's inflating the money supply, which is going to lead to inflation. And there is a threat in America that it could very well lead to hyperinflation. You know, no one really knows, but listen, we've got a lot of money printed. Okay, we've got a lot of money printed, and it's floating all over the world, and it's worthless. So there has to be an accounting at some point in time for all of the money that's been printed out of nothing. You know, not to mention the debt that it places on taxpayers as a nation. So in our stage 6, we have this currency crisis. I think anyone who is just kind of looking down these little bullet points that I have up here can see that this is our recent history in America, in Europe as well. Okay, so even if you didn't know that this was happening well before America was even, you know, a nation and certainly a world empire, you know that it's happening now. If you're, if you're a conscious adult in America, you know this is happening now because you see all of these things happening right now as we speak. All right. So stage 6 of our 7 stages of money is the inevitable currency crisis. All right. We'll move on to the final stage and see how this all comes together in the next video in stage 7 of the 7 stages of money. We'll see y'all in the next video.